रोशनी का कारवां.
This podcast is brought to you by Score Foundation.
ये है रोशनी, रोशनी, रोशनी का कारवां. रोशनी. Eyeway, ये है रोशनी का कारवां.
My name is George Abraham and welcome to Eyeway Conversations. My guest today is Harish Kotian, a resident of Mumbai. He has just retired from the Reserve Bank of India and has been the moderator of the email group Access India for many years. So welcome, Harish. So good to have you.
Good morning, George, and nice to be back again. Pleasure.
Talk about Access India. Access India has been around for a long time now. It's an email group for computer and technology users, and you've been the moderator of this group for many years now. So can you talk us through how it started and how did you get involved and what was the objectives and what has been the impact of this email internet group?
So there were these bulletin board service, and through the bulletin board service, one would interact with the people who are a part of that bulletin board group. So there was one very active bulletin board service in US, which was run by National Federation for the Blind. So we were getting connected with the BBS in US and interacting with other blind people in US. So that was our first time, using our equipment, using computer. We were getting direct information from other countries. So they had a very basic form of an email group also. So we were part of those groups, and so it started off by a couple of us joining those international groups, and then we thought, why not run a mailing group ourselves? I think it was around 2002 or something that Kiran asked me, shall we also start our local group? I said, yeah, why not? And a couple of us, Geeta, Shamana, and a few of us, Kiran took the lead and he started the mailing list. And so now it has risen, it has grown quite a lot. At any rate, it was a good and a rich sort of thing that happened because of Access India, because it was not only that we were helping with the technology, helping people cope with technology, getting themselves comfortable with technology, also that we were sharing a lot of tricks and hacks, so to say, and making ourselves more useful using technology. And then later on also came the mobile phones, and again mobile phones. It started off with the feature phones, and then later on the touch screens. Again, the touch screens was a huge problem to start off with. And then we also learned how to do that. And even during that course of moving on to the touchscreen phone also, Access India had an important role so that people would get comfortable with it. We had a separate list that we ran particularly for the mobile phone. And then, of course, we merged it with the main list later on. So that has been the moment, so to say. But a lot of campaigns also we were able to run through Access India, and we were also able to lobby and form public opinion, which was a voice of disabled persons. And we had a very important role also to play during when the rights of persons with disability was getting drafted. And in the very drafting committee itself, they have acknowledged the role of Access India into it. So that is how Access India has had a very important role in disability affairs in India.
Staying with technology, I remember you telling me some time ago that you were also very interested in the ham radio. So, what exactly is this ham radio? Is it still relevant today? What was your involvement?
In my early childhood, I was very fond of listening to radio. And on radio, they like BBC and some other stations like Radio Netherlands, they would run a particular program which would what is known as DXing, listening to distant stations. So they would talk about the propagation and things like that, and the different stations, how different stations were spotted in different part of the world, and so on and so forth. So that again kindled that it was something which I wanted to learn and wanted to know about. Uh, I spoke to my father that there is something called ham radio, but I don't know how to go about it. So he spoke to someone in his circle, and he happened to know someone who had that equipment. So we went to a place at Bandra where this person was staying, and his daughter, she was in Agra, she was married. And when we went, he was talking to his daughter on the radio, and many other people, different part of the world. It was just so very fascinating to hear someone talk long distance on the radio, and just casually, like without any limits or whatever, just like that, and so on and so forth. So it was a very nice experience that I had got to see then. But then I mean, that was a demo, so to say, that I had, but I didn't really have a very good use case for me to actually use it. But it happened eventually. I was a part of a mountaineering expedition. We went to Himalayas. That was I think it was somewhere in 93, 94 or something. And so we were all preparing for that. And so we wanted wireless equipment. Uh, um, as I had earlier contacts with the ham world, they were willing to give the equipment, but they said we can only give it to another ham. We cannot give it to a person who doesn't have a license. But fortunately for our team, when we went to Delhi at that time, the minister for defense at that time, he was kind enough to grant us 5 sets from the defense equipment, and that came very very useful for us because we had 3 different camps which was spread quite far away, and with that we could actually control the expedition seamlessly. We didn't have much difficulty with it. So the first thing that I did after returning from the expedition was I joined on to the class which where they taught how to use ham radio, and there's an exam that you have to write. It's the basic electronics and certain things about ham radio. So, and also at that time, it was mandatory that you learn Morse code. Morse code is that, I mean, on radio, sometimes you would hear da da that type of a tone that happens. So that's a universal language, so to say. Uh, um, and that was a part of it. So I wrote the exam. I got a grade 1, which allowed me to communicate not only by voice but also through a digital mode. So later on, I did get my equipment. I got my wireless equipment, and I was talking to people all over the world. So ham radio is just a wonderful thing. It is still relevant in the sense that all the technology that happens, it is sort of fabricated by the ham world. And it's very much live and throbbing with technology. And but the relevance has come down. Undoubtedly, the relevance has come down because now that we are using mobile phones, so we can talk to anybody, anywhere and everywhere. But earlier, that was not the case. We were the very, very few privileged people who had this equipment, and we could go anywhere and talk to people in other part of the world.
If you know of anyone with vision impairment who needs guidance on living life with blindness, please share the Eyeway National Toll-Free Helpline number 1800-5320-469. The number is 1800-5320-469.
Harish, you've had a long innings with the Reserve Bank of India. In fact, you told me that you started your career with Reserve Bank of India, and recently you retired from Reserve Bank of India.
I joined Reserve Bank of India in 1981, and I joined as a telephone operator. But I wanted something more than just being a telephone operator. In the sense, I wanted to have something which was intellectually stimulating. And there wasn't much that one could do as a telephone operator. I gave myself for two options. One was to prepare for UPSC, and the other was computers. When I joined RBI, I was in 12th standard. So I continued my studies. I didn't give up on my studies. I continued my studies. I went on to do my post-graduation because I wanted to do UPSC, and post-graduation was a sort of a necessity for that. So I kept on one side preparing myself for UPSC, and the other side, I was also trying to see about what could be done about the computer front. So initially, I had huge problems getting admission. Nobody was willing to give me admission to start off with. And the initial problem of getting admission, I somehow managed. I got into a regular batch, and then I understood what programming is all about. So it was a regular batch, and in that regular batch, I topped the batch. So what I would do is I would write my code using Braille. I would go to the computer operator, read out the code, and he would type it in, and he would tell me what was the output that was coming. So it was a very difficult thing to do. I mean, a very indirect way to work with. And I was trying to get and see if I could do something independently. Then later on, I got a synthesizer from Dolphin Systems. It's a UK-based one, and it came up with a screen reader also. It's called HAL. So I got that, and that was the time when I could actually interact with the computer all by myself. Initially, I didn't even have a PC with me to connect. So, somebody in NCST, National Center for Software Technology, the director of NCST allowed me to connect my equipment to their PC and use it. So I used to go in the evening and on weekends to their center, connect my synthesizer and run the software there and do some work up there and come back. So it was a very a difficult path to do. Then later on, I got my own PC, and which allowed me unlimited time to use it and so on. So that was how I started off with technology. But coming back to the main question that we were talking about with RBI. I made myself comfortable using technology and programming, and I was pretty good at it. I mean, I first strengthened myself. I made sure I could take it in a professional way. So then I wrote a couple of other exams also. Professional exams relating to programming. Then later on, I did my graduation, and so I approached RBI to tell them that I would want to enter software development, and I'm pretty well trained for it. I didn't get much positive response because all competitive exams during that particular point of time, they had a clause that scribes will not be provided. So that was a big deterrent. And computer programming was in the officers cadre. I was in the clerical cadre. So if I had to go there, I have to first get a promotion, and to get a promotion, I have to write the exam. And I was not given a scribe, so I couldn't write the exam. So I was in a vicious loop, so to say, and it took a very long time, very long time that I managed to break it, and I was allowed to write the exam, and then of course uh, ventured this as a professional computer programming. And I mean at RBI we I mean once I got in, like it was like the environment was very receptive. I didn't have much difficulty with it then, and it was not difficult to prove myself also with it. And people realized that I was just I mean as good like other professionals at RBI. So there wasn't much difficulty that I had later on. There wasn't any discrimination, so to say. Also, it was a level field, I would say, that I got later on. And I mean, I can say the best thing that happened to me was I got to work in our data center, which is which is a place where all our important softwares are hosted and run. And to get a chance to work in that environment is something of a privilege that I got, and I was not discriminated for that. So I mean, I was happy that I got to work, and I retired out of that center itself. So that has been my journey with RBI.
Listening to your story, there are a number of people today who are probably blind and are working in the RBI. It looks as though you were the Sunil Gavaskar of the blind fraternity, while today you have the Tendulkars and the Virat Kohlis who enjoy the 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 path breaking journey that you took, getting to where you did.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'll be honest about it. Yes, in some ways, yes, because I mean, it was the first time that RBI also got an opportunity to work with a visually disabled person apart from telephone operator, and they also got a pleasant. Surprise that I could do my job to their satisfaction. And it gave them the confidence that, yes, many more could come. And of course, later on, the laws also came in place and things like that. So, I mean, I would say that I made the groundwork for it. But later on, those who came in, they all came in their own merit. There wasn't much that I did about it, but I mean, it built the goodwill that was required, that preceded to some extent because of my interaction with RPI.
Yeah, the belief and understanding of what the blind person can do is very critical. And of course, the present day professionals who are blind who get into the same kind of role are kind of riding the goodwill that you created.
To support our work with the blind and visually impaired, you can visit the donate page on our website www.scorefoundation.org.in. Please note www.scorefoundation.org.in.
So moving on, Harish, you have a family. You got married at some point of time, and you had children, and they're all moved on in life. So talk us through through how you started your family, and a little bit about different people in your family.
It was an arranged marriage, so the family arranged for it. My wife, she's an able-bodied, and she is a graduate. And I mean, it was more the family that did it. I didn't have much role directly because of that. But I mean, as many things surprise came into my life. Uh, my first arrival was a daughter, and the second were twins. I mean, we didn't have a twins in our family, so initially it was quite a challenge and a handful to have three babies at hand and to handle both of us together. But I mean, I would definitely state that I mean, generally people think that parenting is a large extent a mother's role, but I did have a big role to play in my kids' upbringing, and I have been an important participant in raising the family, and that's how it is. I mean, in all other families, when kids have anything, they first reach the mother, but in my family, my kids, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is reaching their father. So that's how it is.
What do your kids do, Harish?
My eldest daughter, she has done her MBA, and she is working with an MNC. Other is a software developer with a prominent IT company, and the third is a lawyer. She's a professional. So all are working presently.
All three girls, or the twins are a boy and girl?
No, no, all three girls.
Wow. So, Harish, you've been blind. Have you been blind since birth, or this is something that happened along the way? And what was the kind of response from your parents and immediate family around?
George, I was very much an able-bodied, and as a kid, I grew up like any other. And even for a second, I didn't know, or I didn't have a feeling that I would turn blind someday. I mean, and I don't think I remember coming across any blind person through the first 13 years of my life. So it was during Diwali time when I was 13-year-old. Uh, um, in the morning around 11ish, like I was taking some stroll in inside our colony. One guy, he burnt one cracker called parachute. It burst twice, once in the ground and once up in the air. So I was very far away from that particular spot, and but that particular parachute had some defect. Instead of going vertical, it went slanting. And hearing the first sound, I turned my face towards it, and the second was right on my face. It blew. So it was in a second that things happened, and but the thing is that the doctors were very hopeful. They said that we will get your sight back, and um, mm, uh, they were very fond of me. So they took. I mean, they went out of the way and tried very hard, but it didn't work out. Every time some complication would come up, some unexpected complication would come up and ruin the graft. So that's how it happened. And then I realized for 3 years we kept going in and out of the hospital. Then I realized that I'm losing on time, and then I told that I want to continue my studies. Even that was running in the back of my parents as well. So when I broke the ice, it made it easy. Then my doctor referred me to Dr. Vyas. So and it was, I mean, very inspirational to meet him. And he also told me of the talking book service which NAB was running, and the rehab program later on. So I joined the rehab program later on, and that's how I got myself rehabilitated, learned braille and mobility and things like that.
It's been wonderful talking to you. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Wish you the very best, and a happy retired life.
Thanks, George.
Eyeway रोशनी का कारवां।
This podcast was brought to you by Score Foundation.
ये है रोशनी, रोशनी, रोशनी का